It's Cutting Down the Nets, January 4th. Tuesday slate. It's a big slate. Should be fun. Let's get into it. I have not updated Monday's games because this video is happening on Monday. So we'll get right to the action where there's a lot of good games on the schedule. And I think some prime betting opportunities. So let's get to it. Kansas, Okie State, not seeing much there. Kentucky, LSU. I have LSU minus 3.7. The opening line is 1. I would be interested in LSU as a dog here, and I think it comes. So I do not need to bet this game, but I think it's possible that LSU even gets up to maybe a +2, maybe a +2.5. Market loves Kentucky right now, down on LSU after the Auburn game. So I think there is some hope for that, and it's not a priority for me. Illinois, Minnesota. I think Illinois will get everyone back, although Underwood said it sounds like some people may be wearing masks, so we'll start to get used to that with new COVID rules. Anytime I bet against the Illini, Alfonso Plummer makes at least 6 threes. Minnesota has so much luck going for them on three-point defense that I think there's some regression due, but the Illini have made like half of their last 123, so something's got to give there. I don't love Minnesota's shot selection. This is basically a home team getting multiple possessions and a value play, but obviously some risk involved, which is why it's in yellow. I don't think this weight game will come into play for me. It's likely not to go below -1. Right now it's at like 1.5, and I'll probably sit that out. Okay, Providence, Marquette. Providence is locked in defensively over the last 6 to 8 games. Marquette's offense looks lost out there. So I have actually efficiency as Providence by 7. And the current line is 2. Just something to note there that Ken Pom is 1. Look, things happen, but I am very comfortable with that bet there. Moving on to Vanderbilt and Arkansas. These are two overvalued teams. I'm actually more excited for them to play someone else. They keep inflating their record, but their efficiency is not all that strong. The Hogs are really sliding defensively. This shapes up to be a lot of three-point attempts for Vanderbilt, just with the way Arkansas defends, as well as Vanderbilt's shot selection. Not a great spot matchup-wise for Vandy, but this is similar to the Minnesota play, where it's just excellent value. More than 2 possessions in a conference game I view as fairly close. I'm going to mention Auburn here. The line's 10.5. There's not much value between my line and the opening line, but Ken Pom is 9, and this is just a good matchup for Auburn. It's going to be up and down. That's Auburn's game. It's just a massive edge for the Auburn defense. Just everything checks the boxes for Auburn. So I'd prefer, obviously, a better number than 10.5, as I don't think there's much value there. But I am comfortable at 10.5, and we'll play it if I have to. I have to make a decision about how I'm going to handle that game. Seton Hall and Butler. Seton Hall has been very consistent, but they also are one of those teams with insane three-point defensive luck. Now, a team that's lucky at defending the 3, there's typically some regression there. We saw it with Iowa State, but it was enough that they were able to cover the spread. Butler is, I think, just overvalued. It's not a very good team, but the way they play, they can grind you out and sometimes keep it close. They have been banged up a lot, but this is yellow. I mean, it's one that I'm going to put in my pool. I might pull the trigger on, but not one I'm jumping on immediately. Next green game here is Howard at Penn. I have this closer to 2 points. Torvik and Ken Palmer at 4, and the line is 6.5. Penn has a bunch of defensive stinkers in their profile, and I like Howard's ability to score inside here. And Howard's aggression can give Penn troubles. They have Howard's really thrived in games where they can turn over their opponent, and Penn has obviously struggled in those games and have not played too many aggressive defenses lately. So I like that matchup for Howard, and data supports that decision. North, Alabama, and Lipscomb is next. I like the North Alabama side, but there's a lot going on in this game. So Lipscomb has a high three-point rate and struggled when they're not hitting. And the same goes for North Alabama. Basically, any team that's not hitting three-pointers when they're somewhat reliant on them is not good. But Northern Alabama has one of the worst two-point offenses in the half court. However, a nice turnover edge here for North Alabama, so hopefully some transition buckets. There is a free throw rate edge for Lipscomb, which is not weighted nearly as high as shooting or turnovers or even rebounding. But North Alabama is much better offense when they're forcing turnovers, and I think it can get leaky here for Lipscomb. However, the line is 3. KenPom has it at 5. So I think it's worth monitoring and not jumping on that one. Boston and Navy, bit of a grinder here. The Navy profile is a bit erratic, but I see value at 3.5. I mean, that's just too much variation from what my efficiency is saying, so I'm going to back the mids here. Next up, Liberty and Stetson. This game should play slow, but have lots of threes. The way Stetson is shaped up, they've provided a high three-point rate for their opponents, but also very clean looks. They have been torched by numerous teams that aren't really known as shooting teams. You know, teams like Miami buried Stetson, and I don't consider Miami to be like a Liberty from behind the arc. Air Force, Colorado State, that one's orange. Mainly because the Air Force's pace. So if you want to go there, you could go there. I'm not really looking to do that. Toledo, Central Michigan. I have Toledo by 19. Torvik 15, KenPom 12. Line opens at 12. Central Michigan has been torched this year. They did have one recent game against Kent State where they put it together. But I like all the matchup pieces for Toledo here. And a huge inside just with CMU's interior defense being poor. Last game on the list, Holy Cross at Loyola, Maryland. I have 13.7, lines 10.5 as an opener. KenPom 11. So that is one I am considering as well. So let me break this down a little bit as to how I'm seeing it. This first tier, Providence through Navy, are ones I see value, and I see a good opportunity to gain some closing value there with the opening lines. It's possible lines go the other way. It's hard to predict. I certainly don't move the markets, but based on KenPom lines and I think public perceptions, these are ones I'm prioritizing betting fairly early. Liberty minus 5.5 is on my list. North Alabama plus 3 is on my list. These are games that I'm not in a hurry to bet, and when that is the situation, sometimes the line moves anyway, and you have to decide if you want to take a worse number. But I do feel like these could come down a bit. It used to be so predictable that like the line's just going to end up where KenPom is, and these lines this year, I don't know if people aren't respecting KP's numbers or not, but the lines come out far different than how they used to. It used to just be whatever the Ken is. You could pretty much predict that was the spread you had to beat, and this year it's been a little more challenging for me. Final group there is just not priorities, not a whole lot of value, but definitely some interest. So Minnesota plus 6, not hurrying to bet that. But with a team like Illinois, it's possible we get a little more value there. Loyola, Maryland's not a great team. It's more a play against Holy Cross. So 10.5 is a pretty big number, but worth looking into. Seton Hall, I mentioned. Auburn, I mentioned. And then I put LSU as a dog. Like I'm more looking for like the huge Kentucky swing, and all of a sudden it's like, holy cow, that game's like LSU's plus 2.5. That's where I'd have an interest. And as always, if I make that decision, it would be on BetStamp, user ID, CDTN. So pretty big card. Looks like a lot of fun to get back in the swing of college basketball. It's been a long holiday break, so thanks for stopping by, cutting down the nets.